Jay-Z. You're just like Diddy. I can't stand your arrogant, condescending attitude. Nicki posted a video of you wearing a pink wig, and I retweeted it. Nothing more. You deserved it. Everyone knows about our feud. It's been going on for over 20 years. I've seen all your manipulation in the industry, from power struggles to cultural control. In 2015, when Tidal launched, Nicki helped you build it from nobody to a successful platform, and you immediately pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. Lil Wayne was qualified for the Super Bowl, but you kicked him out of personal grudges. How is that any different from Diddy forcing his artists to sign unfair contracts? Just because Nicki didn't align with him, he resorts to this kind of suppression. You're truly despicable. What's even more interesting is that right after I showed him and his father's photo in the documentary Sean Combs: The Reckoning, you immediately had your lawyer send me a warning letter saying I overstepped my bounds. When you wrote the lyrics to exonerate Diddy back then, why didn't you think about today? You say the film is malicious slander, but why don't you dare sue me for defamation? Because all the evidence I have is true. I haven't finished reporting the witnesses in my documentary, and I haven't released all the Tidal profit sharing documents. If you know what's good for you, pay back what you owe Nicki with interest. Don't wait until I make Jay-Z Reckoning 2, by which time even Beyonce's PR team won't be able to save you.
Jay goes, let's get it straight. Nobody's afraid of 50 Cent.
I want everyone to be clear. No one's scared of 50 Cent.
At that point, his safe presentation, even the glasses, what the glasses represent? Intelligence, right? A nerd, maybe. What are some of the things that come along with you being a nerd? Like, don't hit a guy with fly. He's not identifying with the transition and difference and the perception of Jay-Z. Now he's really safe, and people feel comfortable with him because they know he's not going to do anything inappropriate or try not to. Meanwhile, when he's saying he's not afraid of 50 Cent, why would you have to make that clear when no one's ever asked me if I'm afraid of Jay-Z?
Today is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026, and 50 Cent has officially released part 2 of his Netflix documentary. The first 4-part series dropped on December 2nd, 2025, and shook the culture. But now 50 Cent is going deeper. This time 50 Cent revisits Diddy. This time 50 Cent revisits Jay-Z. And this time 50 Cent focuses on what allegedly happened behind closed doors. Secret parties, private meetings, late-night gatherings far from cameras, relationships that were never publicly acknowledged. In this new Netflix documentary, 50 Cent doesn't present courtroom verdicts. He presents patterns. He revisits whispers. He questions silence. Why were certain meetings never listed publicly? Why were certain gatherings allegedly undocumented? Why did public distance exist alongside alleged private proximity? Part 2 isn't louder, it's sharper. And according to 50 Cent, when powerful figures stay silent for years, that silence becomes part of the story.
I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years, and I have given all the proofs of who was involved with Diddy. I have presented the videotape of Diddy's parties as evidence. Now no one can save Diddy and the other celebs. Jay-Z, after watching the rest of the documentary, you'll understand everything.
I am the fucking hardest hustler in the world. This is Savage Part 2. Don't tell me about shit. It's 2022 and I'm still a savage. Whatever I want, I get. Whatever I want, I fucking get.
Private power rarely announces itself. It doesn't trend. It doesn't live stream. It doesn't leave timestamps. In part 2 of his Netflix documentary, 50 Cent shifts the focus away from headlines and towards something quieter. Meetings that allegedly never appeared on official calendars. Not red carpet events, not label showcases, not public industry conferences. Private meetings. According to the documentary's framing, these gatherings were reportedly held away from press and media visibility. No photographers waiting outside, no guest lists circulated publicly, no recap articles the next morning. And in an era where nearly everything is documented, that absence becomes noticeable. Private rooms, private timing, carefully selected attendees. The film suggests these weren't spontaneous hangouts. Access was limited. Invitations were intentional. The same individuals allegedly appeared repeatedly, not random faces but familiar ones. 50 Cent doesn't accuse anyone of crimes in these rooms. He doesn't present surveillance footage or secret recordings. Instead, he examines the structure of discretion. Why were certain meetings never acknowledged publicly? Why did some environments leave no digital footprint? Why were they reportedly designed without documentation? Closed-door settings with restricted access. No phones, no cameras, no official records. According to the narrative, conversations inside these spaces were described as remaining inside those spaces, not repeated publicly, not referenced in interviews, not reflected in brand partnerships. In powerful industries, information is currency, and when information doesn't leave a room, influence remains contained. 50 Cent frames these environments as intentionally undocumented settings, not because documentation was impossible, but because visibility may not have been desired. That distinction matters, because in modern celebrity culture, transparency is often strategic. Visibility is branding, being seen as influence. So when powerful figures reportedly operate in spaces designed to avoid visibility, it raises questions, not legal conclusions, but structural ones. Was it privacy? Was it protection? Was it simply elite discretion? The documentary doesn't answer definitively. Instead, it presents a contrast. Public image on stage. Private influence behind doors. 50 Cent suggests that power doesn't always operate in front of an audience. Sometimes it operates in rooms where entry is controlled and memory replaces record. And when the same faces reportedly appear in those rooms over time, when the same environments are referenced repeatedly, the pattern itself becomes part of the story. No headlines, no official statements, just structure. Part 2 doesn't claim proof of wrongdoing inside those meetings. It claims something else. That influence, when it chooses invisibility, often reveals more about power than any public appearance ever could.
That claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah.
As the documentary continues, the focus shifts from rooms to rhythm, not what happened during the day, but what happened after. According to 50 Cent's framing in Part 2, some of the most discussed environments weren't part of official industry calendars. They weren't award shows, album launches, or press-heavy events. They were late-night gatherings, separate from the visible machinery of the music business. After the cameras packed up, after the headlines were written, after the public performances ended. These were environments where, as the documentary suggests, public exposure allegedly disappeared. No media coverage, no sponsored posts, no official acknowledgement the next morning. In a culture built on visibility, invisibility becomes meaningful. 50 Cent doesn't claim that anything illegal occurred in these after-hours spaces. Instead, he contrasts visibility with absence. He questions why certain environments existed parallel to public life, but separate from it. Moments described as existing only in memory. That phrase carries weight, because memory doesn't upload. Memory doesn't trend. Memory can't be replayed frame by frame. According to the tone of the documentary, some alleged romantic relationships were discussed cautiously in connection with these environments. Again, framed as part of public discourse, not established fact. No legal findings are presented. No accusations are declared. The emphasis is on separation. Private involvement reportedly kept separate from public image. On stage, curated persona. In interviews, controlled messaging. In brand campaigns, polished narrative. But after hours, according to the documentary's framing, the atmosphere shifted. The rules of visibility changed. The environment operated without the pressure of constant documentation. This contrast becomes central. Public persona versus private environment. 50 Cent suggests that powerful figures can exist in two parallel spaces. One for cameras, one for connection. One for branding, one for influence. Again, the documentary does not deliver verdicts. It examines dynamics. Why were certain gatherings never acknowledged publicly? Why were some associations visible privately but absent from interviews? Why did documentation stop at a certain hour? Part 2 frames after-hours culture not as proof of wrongdoing, but as part of a broader ecosystem, one where discretion may have been valued more than transparency. And when discretion becomes consistent, it starts to look intentional. The documentary leaves viewers with a quiet tension, not about what can be proven, but about what existed beyond visibility and why it remained there for so long.
50 Cent has been working on this documentary for almost 2 years. The footage he has is insane. The people he got speaking about Diddy is ridiculous.
As part 2 moves deeper into its examination of private spaces, the tone becomes more careful, more deliberate. This section is not framed as proof. It is not presented as legal conclusion. It is framed as discussion. The documentary acknowledges whispers that have circulated in elite circles for years, particularly conversations around age gaps in powerful environments. Again, these are referenced as allegations and perception, not confirmed wrongdoing. According to the way 50 Cent presents it, certain concerns were allegedly discussed quietly behind the scenes. Not in interviews, not on record, but within industry conversations that rarely reach the public. The emphasis is on discomfort. Not accusation, not indictment, discomfort. The documentary references the presence of younger individuals in certain private gatherings previously described. It does not present court filings or formal charges. Instead, it highlights how perception can shape narrative long before proof ever enters the picture. When insiders raise questions privately, those questions linger, even without public acknowledgement. Presence at certain gatherings becomes a point of curiosity. Why were some individuals there? How were they connected? Why were these environments reportedly undocumented? The film does not claim illegality, it claims sensitivity, because in spaces where power imbalance exists, financial, social, or professional, even perception of imbalance becomes significant. 50 Cent carefully shifts the focus toward image management. Alleged relationships, according to the documentary's framing, were reportedly kept separate from public identity. Associations that may have existed in private were not reflected in branding, interviews, or promotional material. Public persona remained polished. Private lifestyle remained opaque. The contrast becomes part of the tension. In entertainment, branding is strategic. Narrative is controlled. Reputation is protected. The documentary suggests that secrecy around lifestyle can sometimes be intentional, not necessarily criminal, but protective. Again, no legal conclusions are drawn. Instead, 50 Cent emphasizes perception, how whispers evolve, how silence amplifies suspicion, how avoidance can intensify curiosity. The film doesn't ask viewers to assume guilt. It asks viewers to observe pattern. When concerns are consistently handled privately, when discussions remain behind closed doors, when public clarity never arrives, the absence itself becomes part of the story. This chapter isn't about proving wrongdoing. It's about examining how powerful environments respond to sensitive questions and how perception can sometimes carry weight even without confirmation. Because in elite spaces, image is everything, and sometimes protecting image becomes more urgent than addressing the whispers surrounding it.
A lot of people say I'm doing this out of revenge because we've got beef. I won't deny it. Me and Diddy have had issues. We've been going at it since 2006. He blocked Mace from signing with me. I dissed him in the track. He launched the vodka line. I launched mine. It's been a back and forth for years. You know why he's so desperate to shut this film down? Because he knows we found things. Footage, phone calls, conversations he recorded himself, contracts, NDAs, real receipts. But Diddy ain't the only problem. He's just a symbol. This industry is full of people like him smiling in the spotlight while pulling strings and hurting people behind the scenes. I don't make things up.
As the documentary progresses, the spotlight turns toward proximity, not collaboration, not business deals, but simple closeness. 50 Cent begins examining what he describes as alleged private celebrity connections. Again, carefully framed. These are not confirmed partnerships or public alliances. They are associations discussed within the context of elite circles. Powerful figures reportedly moving together privately while maintaining noticeable distance publicly. That contrast becomes central. On stage, separation. In interviews, independence. In branding, carefully curated individuality. Yet according to the documentary's narrative, there were moments of private familiarity that didn't always match the public posture. 50 Cent doesn't accuse anyone of coordinated wrongdoing. Instead, he questions how image functions in elite spaces. Appearances are rarely accidental. Who attends which event? Who stands beside whom? Who is photographed and who isn't? The documentary suggests that proximity can signal alignment, even when statements do not. Public distance contrasted with reported private familiarity. It becomes less about what was said and more about what was seen quietly. The film also references adult misconduct allegations cautiously, making it clear that discussion does not equal confirmation. No legal rulings are presented. No conclusions are declared. Instead, it highlights how allegations are often handled through narrative control rather than direct engagement. When controversy arises, responses may be limited. When scrutiny increases, distance may be emphasized. When speculation grows, media appearances can be adjusted. 50 Cent frames this not as conspiracy, but as strategy. In industries where reputation is currency, protecting image becomes priority. Narrative management becomes essential. If a connection invites attention, it can be minimized publicly. If proximity raises questions, it can be reframed. If headlines escalate, silence can replace clarity. Again, the documentary does not claim proof of misconduct. It examines pattern. Celebrity proximity isn't random. It can be intentional, strategic, calculated. Who appears publicly together and who doesn't can shape perception as much as any statement. 50 Cent suggests that powerful figures often operate in two dimensions, one visible, one private. The visible version is polished. The private version is controlled. One in between those two spaces lies the art of reputation management. Because in elite circles, influence isn't only about what you say, it's about what you allow to be seen and what you quietly keep out of frame.
Has been warning us about Jay-Z. Jay-Z has now had an official lawsuit. It's everywhere. It's now being talked about louder than ever. I guess, does that give you some peace to know that people are finally really questioning this man?
It's emboldening me. I spoke on Piers Morgan. I said that I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great because he's been evading. But the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Piers Morgan.
Is Beyonce celebrity B?
I hope to God not. But she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
She knows. She knows.
Rihanna was trafficked to Def Jam.
She was an innocent baby when she came over here. And look
She
at her
was
now.
14 going on 15 years old. Flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning in a hotel room. Auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone with no parental supervision. Her father collected a $500,000 check. She has the fastest
Diddy isn't going down
deal
quietly.
in debt.
As the documentary moves further into structure rather than spectacle, the focus shifts toward the people who are always present, but rarely discussed. Not the headline names, not the performers, the inner circles. 50 Cent turns his attention to what he describes as unspoken connections surrounding Diddy and Jay-Z, again framed as observation and narrative analysis, not legal accusation. These are associations that, according to the documentary, appeared consistently in private environments. Private inner circles allegedly consistent over time. The same individuals reportedly showing up in selective spaces. Not random guests rotating in and out. Not new faces each year, but familiar ones. Faces that seem to remain close to influence regardless of public shifts. and repetition creates pattern. The documentary doesn't claim wrongdoing by these individuals. Instead, it asks a structural question. Why were these figures consistently present in exclusive settings, yet rarely mentioned publicly? Off-record relationships maintained quietly. No formal titles, no public acknowledgement, no clear explanation of role or connection. When proximity exists without public clarification, ambiguity forms. And ambiguity can function as insulation. According to 50 Cent's framing, associations that are neither confirmed nor denied publicly exist in a gray zone. If questioned, they can be minimized. If ignored, they can continue uninterrupted. That ambiguity becomes powerful. Silence framed as protective insulation. In elite industries, discretion is currency. Loyalty is valued. Inner circles often operate on understanding rather than exposure. Public transparency isn't always the goal. Stability is. If someone is always around but never officially identified, scrutiny becomes harder to apply. If a relationship isn't defined, it can't easily be dissected. The documentary suggests that inner circles often function as buffers. They absorb pressure. They maintain continuity. They protect the center from disruption. Again, no legal conclusions are presented. The emphasis is on structure. Who remains consistently present? Why are some connections never publicly clarified? Why does silence follow proximity? 50 Cent doesn't present secret footage or formal documents. He presents consistency, the same faces, the same environments, the same silence. And in powerful spaces, consistency often matters more than public acknowledgement. Because sometimes influence isn't about who stands in front of the camera. It's about who remains just outside of it. Close enough to matter, distant enough to avoid explanation.